Bryce, and today we will not be reading, but we will be talking about music, reviewing a new album, by the way, by chance. And you may even notice I have a new hat, because I bought the new album Chromakoopia by Tyler, the Creator. And I'm here to review it right here, right now. What's interesting, here it is by the way, about this album is you couldn't just get the album. You pretty much had to buy one of these little packages. As you can see, package. It's a little shipping container box from the first music video that he released called St. Chroma. And in that video, he and several of his companions go inside a shipping container box just like this, and it explodes. So hopefully this one doesn't explode on us right here, right now. But if we open it up, we have a box. The little slot in there was where the album was. And next to that was of course this hat. It says Chromakoopia on it. Green hat. You could have gotten a variety of colors. It's all green, black, and white, basically. Similar to the tones on the cover, the album cover. Little weird African warlord with a face mask, Tyler the Creator. Or this shade of green on the back of it. And along with the box and the hat, I got this little poster with it too. Yeah, here's a closer view for you. I'm sure very, very out of focus and nonsensical, but that's what we like. Aye, aye, aye. So now to the actual review. I plan to meander as per usual. But yes, this is his, I believe, 8th album. I've been a Tyler the Creator fan for a long time. I think he's sort of a new kind of David Bowie, in the sense that each of his albums he has this persona that he takes upon. Much like David Bowie was Ziggy Stardust and the Thin White Duke and Aladdin Sane, he's been all these different, sub-David Bowies. Tyler the Creator is also St. Chroma, or he's Tyler Baudelaire, or he's, he's Igor, he's had several different personae, and it's interesting to see how he grows and develops, as well as how each album is a sort of totally different concept, as well as totally different sound, and I've always really been into that from him, and this one is, of course, no different. I guess breaking down why is it even called Chromakoopia, I guess I think of the word cornucopia, and isn't copia just like a copious amount of whatever? So we have a copious amount of what? Chromakoopia, a copious amount of chrome. And all the videos you'll notice are these sort of videos for the music videos for the album. Are these black and white, kind of chromy, scary looking, almost like Nightmare World. For instance, one of the songs on here, Noid, short for Paranoid, has a music video, and a lot of the shots and angles in the music video are sort of reminiscent of like 1950s noir. You know what I mean? You got Tyler the Creator looking in the mirror, you know, kind of wandering around these barren landscapes, you know, very much being apprehensive and cautious. And I think that Tyler the Creator is making this album from a point of view, or from a point in his life where he himself is also constantly paranoid. He's with his last two albums, he really has taken off, and now he's playing to stadiums. Now he's recognized everywhere. Now his life isn't just the normal sense where he could just go out and get a cup of coffee. You know, now he's swarmed by people. Everyone thinks that they're his friend, and it's just, God, I can't even, there we go. I can't even see how much time I have on here. Anyway, and it's like he's just lost in this hell world, which to me is Chromakoopia, a sort of nightmare area. And the album itself is sort of how he works his way out of this nightmare mind state, and how he confronts the darkness inside himself and all these frustrations and feelings of guilt and general horribleness, and he makes himself better. I think the obvious comparison that, you know, this certainly isn't new from me, I've already heard other people using it, but that it's similar to Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale, you know, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. The album where he talked about all of his internal pain, and it was kind of like a wake-up call for a lot of people out there to, one, examine their own pain, as listeners too, and, you know, the second point, for other artists to sort of match Kendrick Lamar and say, okay, he can do it, he can be emotional, he can be sensitive, so why can't I? And I think this is sort of not directly a response to it, but a sort of parallel. And we're all going to be opening ourselves up. I'm going to open myself up too. Where do I even begin? Okay, I'll begin somewhere that kind of irritates me. So, you have some albums where you'll have, like, say, 10 tracks or whatever, and you buy it or listen to it online, and it's like, oh yeah, here's the 10 tracks, but if you buy a physical copy of it, then you get an extra one or an extra two, like a bonus thing. This album, as well as his Call Me If You Get Lost album, doesn't have an extra track, but it replaces a track. So in this one, you get Mother instead of the song Balloon. Balloon's only, like, you know, on YouTube or Spotify and what have you. And it's like, that's very nice and very neat. But can I get Balloon too? Like, can you just add Mother to it and I can still keep the other song? I mean, granted, Balloon is probably the weakest song on the album anyway, but I still want it, you know, I still want it to be part of it. Balloon's kind of weird because it has this sort of like Super Mario Bros. Level beat in the background, you know, and it comes after, I guess, I don't have it on this album, but it would come chronologically after, like, the big reveal of his pain in this album, the big reveal of his trauma, and it's like, are we really jumping from this to that? But Tyler the Creator can do whatever he wants, I guess. I gotta keep checking. Oh my god. My camera, as many of my loyal listeners will know, can only film for like 12 minutes straight. And I have a new recording thing to hopefully make my sound less crap. But if I have my sunglasses on, I can't see what the number is, so I have to peek here and there. That's okay. Anyway, the big reveal. We'll just jump into that, and then we'll go back through the album. If you've ever listened to Tyler the Creator, then you know that a big sort of aspect of his life is that he was raised by his mom, a single mom, and his dad, you know, left him while he was young, never even knew his dad, and about how that sort of, you know, just me, the only son, and my mom dynamic has carried out all throughout his life and impacted him all throughout his life. And there's a lot of songs about how much, like, oh, I hate my dad. Oh, I hate what it is. I hate that I'm a statistic. I'm going to get better. I'm going to, be the best rapper ever. I'm not going to share any of my success with him. I don't care that he's trying to contact me. Screw him. And the idea of this absent father figure is so prevalent in his work. And in this one, you find out that his father, like a soap opera, his father actually wanted to be a part of his life. And his father, like from birth, and actually did love Tyler and want to be there for him. But it was his mother who pushed him away and hid Tyler and made it so that his father couldn't interact with him. And it's this sort of mother's coming clean to him and saying, yeah, I may have really hurt you. Will you forgive me? And that itself may already, seem pretty dire and serious, but it becomes so much more in that. The album is simultaneously about him discovering the fact that part of his life was a lie, but it also deals a lot with his own identity, and that's where, like the mask comes from, the fact that he feels like he's hiding behind a mask, that, there is multiple Tyler the Creators existing inside him, and he doesn't really know which one is the real one. He doesn't really know how he himself can be himself, and that he's lived under this mask for so long, these masks, that he has a hard time even admitting the truth to himself. And it kind of works much in the way that Kendrick Lamar's generational curse that was described in Mr. Morale, this is a sort of generational curse as well in Chromakoopia, because there's a few songs stretch in here. Hey Jane, I killed you, and Judge Judy, where he sort of talks about his relationships with other women. And that, of course, who knows if it is like real or exaggerated or just allegorical or whatnot. But he talks about how he and this woman got pregnant together, and they were discussing, whether to have the kid or not have the kid, and whether they would be good parents, and whether Tyler could be a responsible dad or a present father figure. And then it goes and talks about a potential abortion and how they weren't ready for it and they got rid of the baby. And you can kind of see how the impact of Tyler's absent father figure really has affected so profoundly his life, and that there's all this turmoil inside him, and he himself thinks he can't even be a good father because of it. And then he discovers, towards the end, via the song Like Him, where his mom at one point gave like an offhand remark about, yeah, you look like him, you kind of have similar features, you have the same laugh, you're like your father's image. And that sort of stunned Tyler, because he's like, I resemble this guy who I basically have grown to hate my entire life. What the hell? How could you say that? How could you think that? And then, of course, the reveal that, his mom's saying, I may not have been honest with you this entire time. It was me. I'm the villain. I'm the one who kept your father from you. And Tyler not only forgiving his mom, but sort of forgiving himself for all the trauma and the guilt that he has caused himself over these years. And how towards the end, when he finds his way home, on the track Find Your Way Home, about how he did forgive himself, and he did realize that, it's okay. People make mistakes. Forgiveness is better than holding grudges, and I'm going to move on with my life. And he talks about, in the songs Tomorrow and in Mask, about how, this stuff really isn't, it's not okay. And maybe talking about it, kind of like Kendrick Lamar's Mr. Morale, talking about it makes it better, or alleviates it, or just sharing your feelings with other people, or expressing it via art. And I found this album just particularly endearing, and by the end of it, I was very much rooting for Tyler, the Creator, to, become better. And people kept drawing the parallels, of course, to Mr. Morale, but honestly, I kept drawing a lot of parallels to J. Cole's albums, especially For Your Eyes Only and K.O.D. and why that is because Kendrick Lamar has the parallel in sort of content, but J. Cole has the parallel in vibes and rhythm. The sense that there's a lot of tracks on this album, like Hey Jane and Tomorrow and I Killed You, where they're just very intimate songs, and they're low-key songs, and it's not like something that you would play blasting from your car speakers, It's not something that you would even just listen to casually because it's so intimate and intense. And the idea of I'm just gonna cook my meal tonight and put on Chromakoopia in the background. You couldn't do that. I feel in the same way you can put Cherry Bomb on in the background or Flower Boy, because this album just requires you to basically sit down and really listen to it and really go on this journey with him. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that, as someone who does like listening to the music in his car, as well as their car, as well as while they cook, this album really doesn't do it for me at that point, kind of like Mr. Morale or For Your Eyes Only didn't do it for me. Of course, Saint Chroma, the intro to this album, probably is actually my favorite song, because it does have these dynamic ranges and this bombastic sound, and it really is just incredibly composed piece as well, because here it is, all the songs written, produced, and arranged by Tyler himself, kind of like Igor was, those are the only two albums I think he's done it all on, where he does mix all the sound himself, and he does arrange and compose everything himself, so it really is a singular artistic experience. And Igor was still intimate, and Igor was still special and unique, but I can blast Igor in my car, and I can listen to it while I cook, and I feel like I can't do it like this, because maybe even it's because Igor has a lot of songs, that don't even have that many lyrics in them, and it's just music, just composition, just the stuff that he was making. And then this one is there's pretty much someone, on the mic at all times. Maybe the difference is there, or maybe it's just because this just gets so up close and personal with you, and also, much like Mr. Morale, kind of invites you to also look within yourself, that it's hard to listen to in a really casual setting. Other than that, I love the style of this album, as well as the music videos, the Chromakoopia, the hyperchrome kind of nightmare world style. Darling is a really good song on this. Annoyed about how paranoid he is honestly really great. Darling kind of goes back to how he's trying to fall in love, and he falls in love too easily, and he wishes that he could have a more normal life, but how his past trauma kind of prevents him from doing that. So hopefully by the end of this album, with his journey, next album he'll be a lot happier, but who knows. There's this really great moment in Mother where he's talking about how he turned out fine, and every time he says I turned out fine, he gets a little bit crazier as he says it. It's a lot of this album kind of charts his spiral down into the depths of his pain, but then he does, rise up towards the end. It's just, it's a good album. I think Igor is still his best album. I have a hard time thinking he'll ever surpass Igor, but that's just me. Igor's just the best of both worlds. You have this absolutely off the charts composition of it mixed with amazing lyricism, mixed with, intense meaning, and maybe after several listens through of this, I'll change my mind. I used to think Mr. Morale was Kendrick Lamar's weakest album, and then it gradually grew on me, so maybe this will gradually grow on me. And I guess J. Cole too, his song Let Go My Hand, he talks about how, really this is off topic, talks about how sometimes things just don't hit you at the right time. You gotta just keep waiting and waiting, and eventually it'll come back to you. Anyway, I gotta get going, I think. Thank you for hanging out with me and listening to me rant for 20 minutes about Tyler, the Creator. You should buy his album. And this is called, the test print album, whatever that even means. I don't know. Buying physical media just gets harder and harder every year, doesn't it? Oh, well. This has been Bryce Can Read. I, of course, am Bryce. As you know, Dog City never sleeps. And I hope that you may sleep